Should you buy Banisher's Ghost of New Eden? This game has a lot of really good things going for it and just a couple of bad things. So let's talk about some of those good and bad things and figure out if you should buy Banisher's Ghost of New Eden. Let's start by discussing the story of Banisher's Ghost of New Eden. Essentially, you play as Red and Antea. They are a love interest who are both Banishers. It's essentially a ghost hunter. They're tasked to go around and protect people from evil spirits and cast them out. And in an unfortunate situation, I'm not sure if we have specifics about how this happens yet, but essentially Antea, the love interest, she ends up dying and became a ghost. And so now you have a choice throughout the game where you can go and sacrifice people's lives to actually keep her alive or not. And so this is one of the biggest premises of the game, is that there are going to be these choices, these moral implications that you're going to be constantly seeing in the game. This is going to be, according to the developers, it's going to be within the main storyline and the side quest. There's going to be these moral decisions that you have to make. And now personally, for me, I love a game that makes me question things, that makes me ask questions about morals and things like that. I like a game that's going to make me think. Now, the only thing that is concerning for me is that they say that your choices are going to have consequences. And a lot of games that have said that in the past, they don't really matter. The choices that you make don't actually affect the game in any way, or if they do, it's very small ways. So this is kind of like a small red flag for me, because if they don't do this properly, it's not going to matter the choices you make. However, if they do implement this choice system properly, there's a lot of potential there. There's a lot of potential for interesting and engaging questions that are going to be brought up, moral questions that you have to think about. And if the choices you make actually impact whether it's your ending or various quest lines, that is potential for just such a great and compelling story. And there is good news. This is made by the same company that made Life is Strange and Vampire, and they made a couple of other games that I'm not too familiar with, but as far as I'm aware, Vampire, Life is Strange, those types of games are typically received really well by the community. And in specifically Life is Strange, because I don't know much about Vampire, but I do know that in Life is Strange, the choices you make, from my understanding, do have an actual impact in the story. And that makes me really excited, because if the developers can put that same love that they did into that game into this game, then you have such a great story premise with so much potential. Personally, I'm really excited for it. Now, the story might be great, but that doesn't really mean anything if the actual gameplay is not good. See, the majority of the time, you're going to be engaging with the actual game, not necessarily the story. So, with that being said, the combat in the game looks pretty good. I've heard it compared to God of War and Witcher 3 as the type of combat style that you can expect, that kind of third person. You got your typical light attacks, your heavy attacks, you got parries, you got dodges, and then of course you have your skill trees and your upgrades and things like that. The biggest thing that is making the game stand out is the fact that you're going to be switching between Red and Antea. See, Red and Antea both specialize against certain types of enemies. So for some enemies, you're going to need to use Red's attacks and Red's abilities, where other enemies you're going to want to use Antea's abilities. This swapping back and forth between characters can create a really interesting dynamic in combat that I'm personally really excited to see, and I hope that they actually utilize this to the best of their abilities. Combat overall looks pretty good, but what about exploration? As far as I'm aware, the game is a semi-open world, and if you don't know what that is and how that differs from an open world, I'll put a little infographic on screen right now. For the most part, the exploration seems interesting. The world seems like it's not going to be so big that it's empty and void, kind of like most open world games are, but that it will be small enough that it will be packed full with side quests and main quest stories and interesting things to explore and find out. And on top of this, some of the abilities that you unlock with Antea will actually help you traverse the map. Now, this could be a Metroidvania type game. Now, maybe this is just hopium. Maybe I'm just hoping that it is because I love Metroidvania games, but they really could lock areas behind not having access to some abilities. And I think that would be so great, and it works so well in that type of semi-open world game. Now, I'm not entirely sure. We only know so much because this is before the game has released, and I am only talking about the things that we have seen and bringing up the pros and the cons. But for the most part, the gameplay looks pretty good, and I think that it will be engaging enough that it'll keep you busy and interested in the game while you're experiencing it. So, should you buy Banisher's Ghost of New Eden? I think personally there's a lot of great things going for this game. I can't make that decision for you, but hopefully in today's video I brought up some of the good stuff and some of the bad stuff. Let me know what you guys think about the game. Peace out.